Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green. I'm the manager of the AFC Wimbly Womblys, who today are taking on Notts County. Is that where Robin Hood's from? I think it is. Maybe Sherwood Forest. I don't know. It's in. I think it's in Notts County, or maybe it's where Winnie the Pooh is from. Maybe it's where the 100-acre wood is. No one knows for sure. That stuff's all lost to history. However, I did put Notts County in their really hideous purple away uniforms because, you know, I want them to feel like they aren't going to win this game. Plus, I want to make sure that we can tell them apart from the Wimbly Womblys wearing their usual beautiful Wimbly Wombly blue. Today, I'm going to talk about comic books. But there's something you have to understand at the beginning of this video, which is that I am old. I'm very old. I'm extremely old. I'm the oldest person that you know. Look at that. Despite what I think has been a pretty good season for the Wimbly Womblys, we're still only in second. And so when I was a kid, comic books, it was a different world for comic books. Like, the world of comic books looked very different then than it does now. For one thing, there were all of these, there were no, you know, like e-books or whatever. There were all these comic book stores, and you would go to the comic book store every week and you would get your comic books. And that still exists, but it's a little bit different now. I think, like, it's more of a... I don't know. Like, when I was a kid, it felt like everybody did that, or at least all the nerds. Maybe it still feels that way. I don't know what it's like to be a kid anymore. But there were no comic book movies. You know, like, comic books weren't popular in the popular culture. They were seen as something that was exceptionally nerdy and weird, and, like, not something that normal people would do. And so it was a very, like, it was countercultural. There was no... You know, you didn't have the Big Bang Theory, the kids, the people on the #1 sitcom in America going to the comic book store. It was just a very kind of like nerdy pastime. I did like comics, although my brother, I think, liked them more. But there were a number of comics that I really enjoyed. Not necessarily the ones that you would think or ones that I'm particularly proud of having liked in some cases. I was a big fan of The Punisher. Which is a, for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to try the shot because, you know, why not? St. Louis. Oh, did he force a save? It's an easy save, but I got a corner kick out of it. I often score from corner kicks. St. Louis. No. So I was a big fan of The Punisher, which for those of you who don't know is because they've only made one movie. It was or it still is probably, a comic about a guy who'd been done wrong, and he'd basically become a vigilante in response to it. He didn't have superpowers. He was just really tough and badass and had a lot of weapons and killed a lot of people. I think I liked The Punisher because it kind of fulfilled a lot of my fantasies about, you know, I knew I wasn't going to have superpowers, but I did dream of being powerful, you know, and of being able to do things that that I couldn't do in real life, of being able to have more control over my situation, of being able to punish those who I felt had wronged me. And so I think The Punisher, in a lot of ways, for a nerdy kid growing up, sort of, oh God, goal, Minicon. That was a good run, too. Nothing I can say about it. I probably shouldn't have put them in purple. It made them powerful. Oh, man, that was just just ran past my entire defense. And then Girls Just Want to Have Fundingsrud went in with a desperate tackle at the end that I think might have been a penalty if he hadn't scored. But I still like the decision because it was the only decision we could make. It's difficult times against Notts County. They're a strong football team. That's nice. That's a nice job. Nice. Nope, not as nice. How's that? Get to that ball, kid. So I really, taken down from behind. Where's my penalty? I really enjoyed The Punisher. I also, you know, I liked the X-Men and Spider-Man and Batman. Sort of, I kind of grew up with comic books in one sense, at least, which is that as I aged into high school and real kind of adolescence, I was about the time that The Dark Knight Rises was coming out, and comics were suddenly getting, like, much better. And I was a big Dark Knight fan, like you know, like most people. I don't think it was actually called The Dark Knight Rises. That was the name of the movie, wasn't it? Anyway, it's a great, like that comic book was like revelatory to me. And then I like, you know, I love graphic novels. I read Mouse when I was in college, I guess, and you know, I love Bechdel's work, and I just think there's lots of great graphic novels. Chris Ware is, I think, a really interesting artist, graphic novelist, and I think I really enjoyed Blankets, a great story about kind of that weird, obsessive, somewhat unhealthy, you know, first variety of first love. Certainly not all first loves are like that, but I thought it was a really good book, and a nice book too about kind of growing up, complicated relationship with one's religious tradition. So yeah, I mean, I still enjoy those. I don't read comics as much as I used to. I don't read, you know, I rarely read the kind of comics that come out every week that I read a lot as a kid. They were hugely helpful to me as a kid, and you know, I loved Spider-Man, and I still have a lot of those old comics. I still have kept a lot of my comics from back when I was a kid, and I still like to go through them. The other thing that I read a lot, that's another kind of unheralded comic, probably because it isn't very good, is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There are a couple of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles graphic novels that Hank and I really enjoyed, and that we would read together. And then we would play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the role-playing game, together, where I would always be dungeon master because I'm the old one, and Hank would sort of suffer at my whims. But you know, very, very, very gamely, as he always has, and that was great fun. I loved. Oh, I was offside. Dang it! I loved playing that with Hank. I loved reading those stories with Hank. It was kind of a cool place of connection for us because Hank, you know, Hank had learning disabilities and struggled with his reading a lot, but he enjoyed comics and he enjoyed graphic novels, and that was a way that he could read, you know, as well as me or even better than me, because he had an understanding of kind of the visual world of comics that I didn't have. You know, Hank had and still has a visual literacy that I lack, an ability to kind of read the spatial world around him, the visual world around him really really perceptively. And now, of course, he's also an excellent reader of books and text-based narratives, but I think that was much harder for him, came much slower, and was a lot more work. On the other hand, I think that's also why Hank is such a lot of why Hank is so hardworking now. He didn't ever have, like, that stuff didn't come as easily for him as it came to me, and I think as a result of that is a really like just a really dedicated, hardworking adult. He expects things to be hard, and he doesn't. It doesn't bother him when they are. That's one of the things that I really admire about my brother. Actually, is that he doesn't he doesn't get mad when things are hard. He just works, and I think that's something that I don't have, and not enough people do have. Oh God, everything except for the finish was there. This is a frustrating match. Still down to Notts County. 1-0 in the 63rd minute. Talking today about comic books. I also, I have to say, like, found a lot of joy. Looking back on it, I think I enjoyed the violence of comics a lot. And again, this was in a world where there were no Spider-Man. I guess there was a Superman movie, but like they were pretty bad. Like certainly, you know, the world of like tent poles and franchises all being built around Marvel and DC characters was a long way off back then. And you know, it was, you know, and so there was something almost like forbidden about violence then that now feels very old-fashioned and very very silly. The other thing I wanted to say about comics is that one of my favorite contemporary novels is about the world of comics, The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon, or however you say it. He always says it rhymes with radon, but I don't actually find that very helpful. Chabon, I guess, rhymes with radon? Anyway, that book is an amazing book. He's written a bunch of great books, The Yiddish Policeman's Union. He wrote a great sort of swashbuckling novel. He's written private eye novels and all kinds of books. But The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay is just feels very special to me. Very much like a book, and I know lots of people feel this way. Very much like a book about the worlds that I wanted to know about most as a child. The world of comics and the people who made them, and how the characters came to be and how they grew into their own and how people responded to them. How it reflected something for me about why comics have mattered so much to me over the years. And I don't know, it's just a really cool book. So I don't know if you've read that book, but if you haven't, I strongly recommend it. It won the Pulitzer Prize, so I'm not alone in thinking it was good. Oh, we just needed a slightly better cross from these boots were made for strutting. He and Green Eggs and Sheringham have struggled all game long, but there's only 6 minutes left, so I'm going to let them try to find an equalizer here at the very end. But this has been a difficult game, and I think we were all thinking, 7-1, that's how we win. Like we're gonna coast to the championship, and now I'm getting a little nervous because this game just has not. I felt from the first moment that there was just like a speed and organization in Notts County that we weren't really able to deal with very effectively. That's a nice set of balls, though. Context is everything. All right, get that ball in. No, better than that. I needed a good long cross. That was C. Arthur, and what we really needed there was the patron saint of lost crosses. Come on. That's a good ball. It's a good ball. Tie the game. Oh, it's over the top. The patron saint of lost crosses, K. St. Luce, with an excellent opportunity there at the end, but he just can't get the dip on it. Oh, man, that's a devastating blow. It's looking like we're going to lose this one, my friends. Reminds me of when Superman died, when they brought him back to life like 2 years later. Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Brutal loss. Now Notts County is just taunting me by not even letting me get control of the ball. Surely we're not going to give up a second goal here at the end, are we? Are we? Come on, ref. Just blow the whistle. This is embarrassing. Okay. Maybe are we going to get one last chance? No. No, that's the end of it for the AFC Wimbledon Womblly Womblys. I apologize to our supporters. It's not the result that you guys expected and not the result that I wish to deliver to you. Leonardo Mora's upset. Seb Brown's upset. It's just, that's not who we are as a club. I'm sorry. Thank you for watching. Best wishes.